in creative writing. This video will help you to make your writing more stronger and more intentional in using literary devices. So, what is a literary device? Commonly, the term literary device refers to a typical structure used by writers in their works to convey messages to readers. Literary devices help readers to appreciate, interpret, and analyze a literary work. We have numerous literary devices that will greatly help us in writing literary bits. First up is allusion, a literary device that refers to a person, place, thing, or event in the real world. You can use this to connect with your reader by referencing something the reader may be familiar with the real world. For example, he was a good Samaritan yesterday when he helped a lady start her car. This refers to the story of a good Samaritan who was the only one to stop and help the man in need. Next is diction. A literary device refers to the choice of words or styles used by writers in order to convey their messages. Here are the different types of diction and their definition. First is formal diction. This is when the choice of words is formal or high class. Oftentimes, writers use formal diction as a literary device when more educated individuals are speaking or the content is for those with higher education. This type is a little bit more formal scenarios such as press conferences and presentations. Next is informal diction. When your character are speaking directly to someone, this type of diction is more on conversational such as writing or talking to friends. Next is we have your colloquial diction. Uses words commonly in everyday speech which may be different in different regions or communities. Lastly is the slang diction. Slang is commonly used for a young audience as includes newly coined words, phrases, or maybe a kind of impolite words. Next is allegory, a figures of speech where abstract ideas are described using characters, events, or other elements. That's more a fancy way of saying that instead of being literal with an idea, you use characters, events, or other elements in order to describe it in a way the readers can better understand. Think of it like a story within a story. You use characters, events, or other means to represent the literal meaning. Another is colloquialisms, are expressions, words, and phrases that are used in informal, everyday speech, including slang. Next is euphemism, are polite and mild phrases which substitute unpleasant ways of saying sad or uncomfortable. However, euphemisms are actually any terms that refers to something impolite or unpleasant. We create phrases or other words in order to avoid using of actual terms because they might be impolite, rude, or incident. Those alternatives are considered euphemism. Examples of euphemism are letting someone go instead of firing someone, blow chunks instead of vomit, and big bone instead of fat or overweight. Next is flashbacks. Flashbacks in literature are when the narrator goes back in the time for a specific scene or chapter in order to give more context for the story. Oftentimes, we see flashbacks in books where the past greatly impacts the present or as a way to start a story for interesting note. Next is foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is when author places within the writing that gives clues about what will happen in the future of the story. They might even look back and realize that certain elements were foreshadowing once they hit the climax or the plot was revealed. Next is symbolism. Authors turn to tangible symbols to represent abstract concepts and ideas in their stories. Symbols typically derive from objects or non-humans. For instance, a dove might represent peace, or raven might represent death. Next is tone. Tone refers to the overall mood and message of your book. It established through variety of means including voice, characterization, symbolism, and themes. Tone set the feelings you want your reader to take away from the story. Example is, no matter how serious things get in the good place, there is always a chance for a character to redeem themselves by improving their behavior. The tone remained hopeful for future of humanity in the face of overwhelming odds. Lastly is juxtaposition. Juxtaposition places two or more dissimilar characters, themes, and concepts which has profound contrast highlight of differences. Juxtaposition is an effective literary device because sometimes the best way for us to understand things is by understanding what is not. Examples are, I hate loving you, better late than never, and all's fair in love and war. And that's all for literary devices. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new and subscribe also. See you in my next video. Bye!